Hello there you, and welcome to the Blood Ravens chapter. They're about to go head to head with this Eldar war host. Will the Space Marines have enough firepower to win the day? Or will guile and agility carry the Eldar through to victory? Now, just before we start, I want to say a massive shout out to all you channel members who helped keep this channel going. And if you're not a channel member, why the heck not? Click the join button down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and check out the amazing Chainsaw Vengeance hoodies, available now on the ChaoticPinky store. Links in the description below. But with all that being said, let's kick off the battle. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, kicking off today's battle, a Warhammer 40K style battle here, with the amount of forces being fielded here by the Space Marines. I mean, look at this. It's a gigantic horde here of Blood Ravens, and look at the Eldar war horde over there. Absolutely magnificent as our howling badges here come charging forward to meet the Space Marines. Look at all the bolts of fire already just striking through the air. Surprisingly, the Eldar haven't taken that many losses just yet. That could all change here as our first melee engagements get underway. Who have we got over here? Looks like we've got a bunch of howling badges with mirror swords. They are being met head on by assault marines, and we've even got an assault dreadnought here or two on the front line. Now this is going to be a difficult fight here for both teams, both heavily armored, both have lots of firepower. Oh, look at that in the background. You can see our assault dreadnoughts raining supreme firepower down onto the battlefield here, and here just in front of us as well, a heavy concentration of bolter fire coming out. Okay, yeah, the losses here for the Eldar are starting to mount up already. 14,000, though the Space Marines are starting to fall also. They have a big and thick old wedge here on the front line of Space Marines. The Assault Marines just halting it, the complete advance here of the war host. Let's head over onto our flanks, because it looks like the Eldar are trying to move some of their Guardians here. Yeah, look at this, we've got a bunch of Guardians here. And Sherpists, I believe they're called as well, with pistols. They're trying to take out the Space Marine flank here, but they are returning in kind here. You can see that we've got a couple of Sons of Dawn in the mix in the Terminator armor, also supporting the push here over the hill. The battle though is just going to spread out widely. Oh god, look at this. The Guardians now for the Eldar starting to line up here, adding their firepower to that front line. They've got some decent range on them, these guys have. They're just making this half crescent moon here around the Space Marines, but the Space Marines are actually pushing forward over the hill, trying to keep the fire superiority at the top here. Just look at that battlefield below. Space Marines slowly pulling reinforcements into the front lines. The Eldar trying to actually push them back. They're struggling hard here though. I think a lot of the... God, I love these guys. Just spitting out hot death across the battlefield. But yeah, no wonder the Eldar are struggling to push at the moment. But it is a bit of a numbers game here for the Space Marines. They are heavily outnumbered. The Eldar have over 1 million units on the field here. The Space Marines only fielding about 40,000. I say only, that's still a large amount of Space Marines, let's face it. There's also about 2,000 Terminators on the battlefield, so it's nothing to be sneered at here. The Terminators are definitely not messing around. Look at this though, the Eldar now trying to push across the hilltop. That firepower being concentrated into the Space Marine front lines. And the Space Marines are starting to take heavy losses also now, with 2,000 Space Marines being lost. A lot of them are probably going to be Assault Marines though, I would imagine. See that we've got a bunch of Guardians here, just lining up on the front, and that firepower is heavily concentrated on the Space Marines. They are taking a lot of bullets here. That's it, keep them the shields up in the air, guys. You're gonna need it. Oh, even the Terminators are getting cut down here. It's a deadly fight for the top of the hill, but you can see that we are starting to get a bolter presence in the background. Space Marines moving up into the flank as well in the valley below. Look at this. Trying to carve a path into the side of the Eldar. This is actually a good tactic, because as the Eldar try to push around here, the Space Marines are going to have them contained. They're all going to be focused onto this one area. Oh my god, look at that battlefield stretching out. Let's go and take a scoot along it down here. The Space Marines are actually pushing forward into this firepower. That's kind of amazing. There's just a mosaic of dead Eldar underneath them now. The Eldar though, they've actually killed 5,000 Space Marines. That's pretty impressive. It's a good chunk of the Space Marine army so far. If they can keep that kind of kill count up, they might actually win this. Because look at this, the Space Marines have pushed down from the hill here with their Assault Marines. but they've taken heavy losses because of it. Meanwhile, though, the rest of the Battle Brothers have lined up on top of the hill here. And that firepower now is just going to be raining down into the Eldar lines. The Eldar trying to move forces around to our far right flank on this side. Well, the Eldar's far right flank, should I say. But they've got an uphill battle here. And that looks like a well-entrenched group of Space Marines using multiple layers here. That's quite an effective tactic, I've got to say, because they're all quite nicely spread out. Meaning that they're going to be taking very little collateral damage, as opposed to the Eldar, who are all bunched up. Again, the Space Marines still pushing forward in the centre, but look at this now. The further and further forward they're pushing, the more and more losses they're taking. And I don't know if they can afford that kind of attrition rate. We're almost at 10,000 losses here now for the Space Marines. The closer and closer they get to the Guardians, the more and more firepower is starting to be laid down upon them. And yeah, look, the ranks are thinning massively. Oh my god, this could be disastrous here for the Space Marines. The bolters behind them need to push up. Keep that covering fire, suppressing into that front. But it looks like the Banshees are just absorbing so many bullets here, allowing the Guardians to have pretty much free range of firepower. Oh, look at that mosaic. Oh, I absolutely love it. The floor is covered in gore here. We've got to be careful. We might end up summoning some bloodletters. Let's go back over to this side over here. Who's winning on our far flank? This side. On the Eldar's far left. It's literally just a slugging match. That's all that it is over here. It's Bolter versus Surefist, with Guardians thrown into the mix. Every now and then you can see an Assault Marine tries to make his way forward, but it's instantly cut down by the sheer amount of firepower. The Eldar, look at this though. They've got loads of forces up here. They couldn't take the first hill, so they've put all their units onto the second hill. They're now raining superior firepower down upon it. And that's causing a lot of pain for the Space Marines, who are trying to push these forces up the valley here. They've got right into that flank, or even at least to divert some of that firepower back down to this direction. They need some of the Assault Marines to get up to the front here. I mean, we've still got plenty in reserve, don't get me wrong. Look, we can see a load here making their way to the front. It's a shame they haven't got jump jet abilities in this game. Oh, that is devastating. Just hot lead being spewed all over the battlefield here. The Eldar now, though, 300 and coming up to 370,000 losses. That's a lot. That's a lot of dead Eldar. But to be fair, we've almost got 15,000 dead Space Marines. The 30K universe is a little bit insane. Oh my god. Again, Assault Terminators here, proving their worth. Just carving out massive paths. The Eldar have definitely got a lot of firepower around here. It's a shame we haven't got more Eldar units, to be honest. It'd be nice to get some skimmers. You know, maybe a couple of walkers. That'd be really cool. A couple of prism tanks for them as well as needed. But at the moment, the Eldar are looking to be struggling, even though they've thinned out massively the Space Marine front line here. The Space Marines are just now learning from their mistake, trickling in the reinforcements, so that the firepower can't take them all down quickly. But it's undeniable that the Eldar are gaining ground that they lost previously. They are pushing forward, but they're pushing forward into like 10,000 bolters. It's an insane amount of firepower. Oh my god. Heavy focus there on a Terminator then. And look at this, they've actually got quite a decent overview into the flank of the Space Marines here, lining up all the units on the side of this hill. Or is it going to be enough? They're taking rapid losses here now. Again, look, they still haven't managed to push this side over here. The Space Marines have been holding firm, even with all the Guardians pushing up behind them. So it looks like we're getting quite a bit of deflection as well happening, which is a mechanic that really I can't really do much about, unfortunately. It's sort of just in the game. But yeah, the Guardians are suffering from a little bit of deflection over here. I think the angle of shooting up is definitely not helping. Meanwhile, the Space Marines are actually holding quite a lot of their Assault Marines in reserve here, in case some of the Banshees manage to push up. Quite a smart move. You don't want to commit your forces out on the field if you don't have to. And the fight for this hill in particular has actually been quite brutal. The Eldar have managed to push quite far up the side, though. Previously, this was terrain held by the Space Marines, so the Eldar are making gains here. But it's going to come down to the flanks, I think, on this one. Because the Space Marines, slowly but surely, looking to carve a path through the Eldar flanks. Don't know if the Eldar have got anywhere near enough the level of units being poured into this flank in particular. I mean, look at this. It's getting a little bit skittish over here. Kind of looks like the Space Marines may have pushed forward just a little bit. I mean, we've definitely got a few more Assault Marines on the front line. And they're actually surviving now. That bullet's going. Oh, some poor village 700 miles away has just been annihilated by a misfire from a dreadnought. Oh man, that is the Warhammer thing though, isn't it? Just imagine all them shots. So they've got to land somewhere. Just some poor guy out, tending to his crop of potatoes. Next thing you know, it's all annihilated. His grots are dead. And he had no clue what happened. Speaking of no clue what happened, flipping out, we're almost at 20,000 losses to the Space Marines here. Almost half of their army, but we have got a lot of reserves. Look at this, they have not committed all of their units at all, holding back loads just in case. The Space Marine way. I do like how the Dreadnoughts have just been causing absolute devastation though. Again, this flank, not enough units are being pumped into it. There's so many dead Eldar all over the floor, man. Oh, that is a lot. 600,000 losses here to the Eldar, a devastating amount. I can't even calculate the amount in years that would be. Like, each Eldar, they can live anywhere between 100 to a couple of thousand years. So yeah, each Eldar death is an insane amount of time. But they've still got a lot of firepower on the field. Oh man, look at all that. It's like the 4th of July. It's just Christmas. It's all lit up and exploding in the center. Again, them hot streaks of lead coming out of the assault dreadnoughts are just amazing. They look so cool. But the question though, have the Eldar got enough forces to be able to get through these lines here? Have they got the firepower? It's all a question of when. Oh my god. There's so many bodies all over there. But yeah, it's just a question of when the Eldar are able to push forward, really. If they're able to get a decent amount of units and start making a proper concerted effort here without the Space Marines sort of doing this staggered attack form, then maybe, just maybe, they'll hold on. But how many units is it going to cost them to get to that point? Looks like we've actually got a bit of a solid countercharge coming from this side. Space Marines are actually able to form a line over here. Meanwhile, Bolter rounds descend upon the Eldar. The gunners, these guys are in a really bad spot. They're sort of trying to shoot through the mountain, and it's not going to work for them. I'm amazed, actually, that the Space Marines have held on to this stretch of land up here for as long as they have, with the Eldar just spamming fire down upon them. Look at this, they've actually pushed up the valley. Oh my god, the flanking maneuver by the Space Marines has been working slowly but surely over here. The Banshee's just not able to commit enough forces. Possibly due to terrain load out, possibly because there's about 1 million bolter rounds flying through the air. It's a good job that ammunition's not a thing in this fight, let's just say that. Because right now, I think the Space Marines would be completely out of ammunition. It'd all be down to daggers. And that is where the Eldar excel, let's face it. I wouldn't fancy the Space Marines' chances if all they've got is the combat blade with them. Maybe the Assault Marines would fare a little bit better here. Oh, look at that. That's a brutal sight. Absolute insanity here on our front lines. I love this. Maybe I should do more of these 30k battles. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more of these just 30k style. Because with 40k, I feel a little bit restricted because I like to try and keep it as lore accurate as possible while trying to make the fight exciting and balanced. And yeah, exciting doesn't exactly happen with the Space Marines that often when you're only allowed 1,000 units. So it's nice to be able to feel that, you know, a couple of 1,000 units here for the Space Marines. Because my god, it's a true spectacle to behold. I understand now when they say the Imperial Guard go to war, because of the amount of blast fire that goes through the air, it's just like you can't really see the battlefield. It's just like a miniature sun because the blast fire is just so bright. I mean, you'd think that every single guardsman would have goggles by default. Mind you, now I've come to think of it, a lot of them do. Like, the Kriegers, they've got masks with the blacked out goggles on them, and Cadian shock troops, I mean, they've got the goggles as well. Space Marines have got blacked out eye visors, so yeah, I guess it is true that the battlefields of the 40k universes are as bright as the sun, because now I think about it, everyone's got eye protection. And you would need it realistically. I mean, just look at this. It's amazing anything survives more than 10 seconds. We've only got 16,000 Space Marines left, but them 16,000 are proving to be quite a thorn in the side at the Eldar here. A lot of gene seeds are spread all over the floor. I'm actually amazed that we haven't got some really big blood patches, though I think it's because it's such a flat area in the center. It's all been spread out and covered over by bodies. But yeah, look at this. The bolter fire's just absolutely annihilated them. There's no other way about it. The Guardians don't have the same firepower. I think it's just the deflection, to be honest. If the Space Marines didn't have the silly deflection here, that sends the bullets back towards where they were shot from, rather than, you know, to random angles off to the side. Still, it's really annoying. I'd like the deflection to be in the game if it worked properly. But for some reason, it sends the bullet back the direction it came from, and it's like, yeah, okay, with an arrow, maybe. I can understand it pinging off and flinging back. But not with a bullet. Look at that, though. The staggered lines of the Space Marines in the background in the valley. That is what's been helping them to not take significant collateral damage. Get the flanking maneuvers as well that they've pulled off. Sending all the Battle Brothers around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. Has worked out wonders for them. God, look at all the piles of Guardians here. There's just a mound of dead Guardians. And again, I do apologise, because I think a lot of these have died to deflection. And it is truly unfair. Because there's 300,000 Guardians here. And that should be more than enough of a challenge for Space Marines, let's face it. Oh God. oh, that is actually landing on some poor village. Look at this. Some poor dude's house just got annihilated and still is getting annihilated. Oh mate, I am so sorry, dude. I am so sorry. I hope you've got home insurance. I mean, yeah, I forgot about all these ones here as well, but they were kind of in the middle of the Eldar war horde. They were already dead, but that poor dude over there, he just got his house lit up. Are the Eldar actually pushing forward here, or are we just having a little bit of a picnic in the center? I'm not quite sure anymore. It's kind of hard to tell. Looks like the Space Marines may have won this flank. I mean, there's a pitiful amount of reinforcements over here. We still do have a couple of Guardians, but yeah, they're taking a bit of a beating now. That multi-tiered defense of the Space Marines over here was just absolutely fantastic. Worked wonders. It does look like, though, that a lot of the assault Marines that were committed to the fight did end up dying. We have got a few in reserve, but it does look like the Space Marines are starting to claim the hill back again. The Eldar just not having enough here. So, what I want to do, quickly hit just a little time-lapse camera here, very quickly. Just let me catch my breath back from 20 minutes of talking straight, and we'll be back in a second. Well, folks, I think it's obvious by anyone's standards at this point what's about to happen to our poor Eldar war host here. The Space Marines are slowly closing in here, the firepower raining down upon them. There's not much left that they can do. If I was them, I'd save what I could and head back into the Webway Gate and retreat and recover. Because, yeah, the Space Marines have just absolutely dominated this fight. The sheer level of firepower from bolters and from dreadnoughts has just been too much for the Eldar here. Again, though, it's kind of not the Eldar's fault. They've got no heavy weapons at all. They've got no tanks. There's just no mods for them, frankly. So, you know, I kind of understood. I wish we had something that would help to balance the Eldar more, other than being able to field millions of them. But even that might not be enough. And it just gets to a point then when you've got millions and millions of Eldar on a battlefield where it's like, yeah, it's a bit unrealistic. The Eldar wouldn't commit that many forces to a fight. They value their lives too much, quite frankly. But, yeah. They're just being chewed up and spat out now. I mean, look at that kill counter. It is going down quicker than a $5 hooker's knickers. I mean, it's just insanely fast. At least a couple of hundred every second. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do think with the last of the Eldar being absolutely annihilated here, quite literally melted, I mean, yeah, it's over. I think this is as good as over. The Space Marines had 13,000 units left. So as always, I do hope you had a blast, because I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But as always, until next time, peace.